Boker Tov. So with the completion of Masechet Sukkah yesterday, and so there's no Masechet on Chanukah. There's halachot of Chanukah, which we'll do in the halachot. But the next Masechet that has to do with a holiday is Masechet Megila, that discusses Purim. So I'm also part of the fact that all my other Sfarim are in boxes right now. So we're going to be doing what's in this Sefer that I already have, which is Masechet Megila Mishnayot. And then I was thinking that we're going to finish probably in about 6 weeks or so. Maybe we could do Masechet Pesachim to also get us ready for Pesach. So Masechet Megillah opens Perek Aleph Mishnah Aleph. Megillah Nikret, the Megillah is read, and we know the Megillah is read on the 14th of Adar, and in walled cities, we're going to see in the Mishnah, it's the day later, 15th, which is the only walled city we know of, is Yerushalayim nowadays. So, but the Mishnah says something interesting. Megillah Nikret, Be'achad Asar, B'shnem Asar, B'shlosha Asar, Be'arba Asar, B'chamisha Asar. Lo pachot v'lo yoter. The Megillah could already be read from the 11th of Adar. 11, 12, 13, 14th, and 15th. You can't read it on the 10th. You can't read it on the 16th. Now the Gemara explains from Psukim how each of those days could qualify if the worst case scenario, etc., you can read on those days. And we're going to give more examples. But this is a practical halakha. So let's say someone, I remember this was an actual question. Someone went on a cruise and basically he was going to miss Purim and he knew that there's no Megillah there, etc. So if he takes the Megillah on the 11th or 12th and he reads it, he could read it and somewhat fulfill something of Kriyat Megillah. Because where he's going to be, there's no Megillah whatsoever, you can fulfill it on the earlier days. You don't need minyan for Megillah. Ideally, in order to say the after bracha, but you don't need to read it. So, how did this breakup go as far as who read on which days? So, Krachina Mukafim Choma Miyemot Yehoshua Binun Korim Chamisha Asar. Cities that were walled from the days of Yehoshua Binun. If we know that it was walled then forever they read on the 15th. Now, this is to remember Shushan. The city of Shushan was also a walled city. The Gemara discusses, why don't we look at the time of Shushan and see which cities were walled then and decide. The Gemara discusses why it's from the time of Yehoshua Binun. But this comes to resemble the city of Shushan. So therefore, cities, because in the story of Purim, if you remember, outside Shushan was the stronghold. That's where Haman was. That's where the Amalekim were mainly. And they fought the Jewish nation for 2 days. And outside of Shushan, they fought for 1 day. So the fighting was started on day 13th of Adar. Outside of Shushan, they beat them. The 14th, they celebrated. So outside of Shushan, that was Purim, it was celebrations. In Shushan, they need another day of war. So it's 2 days. When do they celebrate in Shushan? On the 15th. So to remember that, the cities that are walled celebrate on the 15th. The only one that we know of now is Yerushalayim. No, so which cities are considered walls? Whatever was walled in the time of Yehoshua. So the Gemara does discuss Yericho, the wall fell. He dropped the wall. At the time of Yehoshua, there's Jews in Yericho. There's discussions about Tiberia. There's discussions about a few cities that Tiberia has water on one side. Is that considered a wall? Because the rest of the city was walled. Gemara goes through different discussions. But as far as, I think there's some people in Tiberia that read on both days to be Yotzeh. But a good question regarding Yericho. I don't think there's a Jewish settlement in Yericho these days. I don't think so. But B'ezrat Hashem, we'll get Yericho back, and maybe this question will be, but you're raising a good point. So now, Kfarim va'ayarot gedolot, cities, bigger cities, Korim ba'arbasa, they would read on the 14th. Regular cities. There was small villages, Ela, Akfarim, small villages, Makedimin leyom haknisa. They would read early on the day of gathering. Basically, the explanation here is villages, maybe contrary to what we thought, we would think maybe, let's say in Morocco, even a little village, they're very knowledgeable, etc. It seems like back in the day they had small villages of Jews that didn't have Baal Korez, they were just very small. And these small villages, would go to the big cities on the days of the shuk, on Mondays and Thursdays, to get what they needed to get, etc. So because these small villages, they were so small, they didn't have anyone to read the Megillah, they were able to read on the days of Mondays and Thursdays, if it was before, even if it was before the 14th. But it had to be on the 11th, 12th, or 13th of Adar, in order to get their obligation. Also, the Gemara says, these villagers, their parnasah was supplying whatever they were able to grow to the people in the big city. So Purim was a big day for them. So if they could read earlier and then supply and work on the day of Purim to supply and have their parnasah, that would have been easier for them, and that's what the Chachamim allowed them. So the villagers that didn't have Baal Korez, and they supplied food and drink, etc., for the people in the big city, they were able to read earlier on the 11th, 12th, or 13th, if it fell on a Monday or a Thursday.
Even in big cities, they go to Jerusalem the day before.
Yeah. Well, there's some people that they want to have fun for 2 days. Like when I was in yeshiva, with yeshiva guys, you want to go have fun for 2 days. So first it's outside, right? Now that, I don't know about those people. But we were in Jerusalem based out of. So we used to go to Bnei Brak and celebrate on the 14th, and then go to Yerushalayim and celebrate on the 15th. So it was a lot of fun. Right. So they would read it in the city. They would read it in the city. No. So even if it was earlier, they would read it with someone from the city would read it for them. So let's see the next Mishnah. It's going to go through each day of the week. A little bit of a tedious Mishnah. Where each one read, and it's still practical for Yerushalayim and outside of Yerushalayim. So Kate said, how did this work out? Let's say the 14th of Adar, Purim, falls out on a Monday. Kfarim v'ayarot gdolot korim bo bayom. The small villages and outside of Jerusalem, out the big cities, read on the same day because it's a Monday. It's the day of the shuk. That's what they read, even though it's the same day for them, and it's hard for them now to sell as well. Okay, they lose out on that part, but they gain that it's on the Monday. That's the same day. That's when everyone reads. And the people of the walled city, they read on Tuesday the next day. If Purim falls out on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday, the villagers read on the Monday. They go back. So if the 14th is on Tuesday, they read on the 13th. If the 14th is on Wednesday, they read on the 12th. And the Arayot Gdolot Korim Bayom, big cities read on that day, the Tuesday or the Wednesday. And the walled cities read the next day. If Purim falls out on a Thursday, the villagers, like a Monday, the villagers and all the other non-walled cities read on that day. The walled cities read on the next day, which is a Friday. Erev Shabbat. Purim falls on an Erev Shabbat, which happens here outside of Jerusalem. Those villagers read on Thursday, the day before. So now the things like this. What happens to the walled cities? The outside cities, like us, we read on Friday. What about the walled cities? It's Shabbat, they're supposed to read the next day. So the Mishnah says they also read on Friday. But this is what's called Purim Meshulash, where Megillah is read for the people of the walled cities on Friday. But the Seudah they do on Sunday. Shabbat is Shabbat. There's nothing to do on Shabbat. So for them, Purim Shabbat. When do they read? Because if Purim is Shabbat the 15th, Sunday is the 16th. We saw in the Mishnah you can't read on the 16th of Adar. So they would read early on Friday like everyone else. But their Seudah is the next day. But Matanot La'Yevyonim, money for the poor, is on Friday, the day of Megillah. Why? Because it says Aniyim would come to the Megillah. Where are they going to get the most money? They come to Shul, right? So if you say, no, I'm going to go on Sunday, come to my Seudah, they're going to lose out. So Matanot La'Yevyonim went together with the Megillah, and Mishloch Manot, which is food, which is for the Seudah, goes together on Sunday with the Seudah. So their Purim is divided by that. But, especially for the yeshiva boy, going back to the yeshiva boy, it's the best Purim. It's three days of fun, right? You do Friday, read the Megillah, but it's already like Purim. And then Sunday, it's your Seudah. Shabbat is in the sandwich in the middle. Just tell you a story. One day I was walking on that Shabbat. It just came to me now. And, whatever people get dressed up or whatever. and I was walking on Shabbat past the shul, and there was a glass door, so you could see into the shul. And I guess I already prayed or whatever it was. Everybody was sitting. So I walked kind of, and I saw the front, and you see people sitting in rows and rows. In the back row, right against the window, was a guy dressed in a full-out Santa Claus suit, just sitting there, on the Shabbat. It's not Purim, it's not, but it's Purim Meshulash. It's just really funny. Yeah, they get drunk all week long. Okay, let's finish up the Mishnah. So, Chaliyot b'Shabbat. Let's say the 14th falls out on Shabbat. So now what happens? Kfarim v'ayarot gdolot makdimim v'korim l'yom ha'knisa. The big cities. This I don't think applies according to our calendar. So if the 14th falls on Shabbat, so it would say that the big cities and the villages read on Thursday. The cities with the walls read on the next day, which is the 15th, which is Sunday. Chaliyot achar Shabbat. Let's say it falls out on a Sunday. 14 falls out on a Sunday. Kfarim makdimim l'yom ha'knisa. The villagers, they always go backward. They don't read it the next day. If you notice, if it falls out on a Sunday, so the villagers could just come on Monday and read like this, the walled cities. No, they go back to Thursday, which in that case is going to be the 11th. And so they can also provide parnasah for those that celebrate Purim on the right day. Vayarot gdolot korim b'bayom. And the big cities read on the Sunday. The walled cities read the next day on the 15th, which is the Monday. So that's how Purim goes every day of the week, and that's the end of the second Mishnah. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen. Rabbi Chananya ben Akashya omer, Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu lezakot et Yisrael lefichach yibar lehem Torah mitzvot shene'emar Adonai hafetz l'man tzidko yagdil Torah ve'yadir.